Iraqi Dinar today. Latest news. Dinar. The financial world is watching with bated breath as the Iraqi economic narrative enters what analysts are calling a potentially decisive phase. For years, the story of the Iraqi dinar has been one of anticipation, with countless eyes focused on Baghdad and the meticulous progress toward full economic sovereignty. Today, we are exploring a flurry of detailed reports that suggest the structural groundwork for a major monetary event is now complete, moving the nation beyond theoretical discussions and into the operational reality of global financial integration. This is a moment of significant inflection, underpinned not by speculation, but by verifiable procedural steps being taken within the Central Bank of Iraq. The air around international financial centers and regional government offices is thick with the intensity of this moment, as a consensus begins to form that Iraq's long-term plan for its currency is reaching its critical completion point. What distinguishes the current atmosphere from previous periods of hope is the convergence of evidence from disparate sources: central banking statements, internal auditing confirmations, and movements within the global payment infrastructure. This paints a picture of a country methodically building the necessary foundations to support a fundamentally altered position for its national currency on the world stage. It's a compelling narrative of national commitment and rigorous technical alignment. A key piece of terminology central to this discussion is the shift into what experts describe as the technical revaluation phase. This is a crucial distinction that separates the visible public exchange rate, the one seen on open foreign exchange boards, from the sophisticated internal digital architecture that must be perfected beforehand. While the public rate remains largely unchanged for the moment, sources familiar with the interbank process indicate that the critical back-end systems needed to process a change are reportedly now fully functional and synchronized for deployment. This phase is characterized by an intensive technical audit and reconciliation process, designed to leave absolutely no room for error when the final action is taken. This technical readiness involves the complex synchronization of vast digital activation networks across Iraq's financial landscape. It includes the final alignment of national budget figures and spending parameters with anticipated exchange values, and the rigorous completion of institutional-level audits performed in coordination with international financial oversight bodies. Essentially, no currency can be responsibly revalued in the global market until its structural foundation is confirmed to be flawless, robust, and capable of handling a new, higher valuation with complete transactional integrity. These detailed reconciliations are the invisible, painstaking work that must occur before the visible effects are announced. Within high-level banking circles, this specific juncture is often referred to with the evocative metaphor of the handshake moment. This is the precise, critical point where Iraq's domestic currency management systems achieve perfect, seamless alignment with the stringent standards required by international clearing houses. Achieving this interoperability is the ultimate technical goal. Unlike previous cycles of market speculation, the current wave of reports is heavily weighted toward procedural and legal confirmations, suggesting a vastly higher degree of official and structural readiness than ever before witnessed in this process. The handshake moment involves meticulous scrutiny of all the nation's financial assets, liabilities, and transactional flows. This includes the intricate synchronization of Iraq's vast U.S. dollar reserves, the projected income from its substantial oil exports, and the detailed exposure of all foreign debt obligations. Every single asset and every liability must be accounted for and digitally verified before the structural switch is activated. This is a period of maximum technical scrutiny, where the central financial ledger of Iraq is confirmed by international auditors to exactly match the verifiable, physical reality of the nation's total wealth and fiscal capacity. Adding massive credibility to this renewed confidence is the recent Publication and legal ratification of Iraq's sweeping multi-year budget, totaling a staggering 70 trillion dinars. This document transcends a mere listing of government spending. It is a legally binding, forward-looking roadmap for achieving true strategic economic independence and long-term stability. For decades, Iraqi budgets were characterized by conservative caution, prioritizing stability and inflation control, often resting on very cautious exchange rate assumptions to mitigate risk in a fragile post-conflict environment. However, the newly ratified financial framework for the coming fiscal years, reportedly 2025 and 2026, signals a profound philosophical shift in Iraqi policy. Leaks and detailed discussions from the Parliamentary Finance Committee suggest this budget is constructed for proactive, ambitious expansion. It channels unprecedented levels of national funding into essential sectors, including energy infrastructure upgrades, comprehensive technological modernization across government systems, and sweeping social reform programs. This aggressive, expansive spending plan indicates that Iraqi policymakers are no longer operating from a position of economic survival, but have pivoted towards sustainable, large-scale development and a clear aspiration for regional economic leadership. The sheer scale of this 70 trillion dinar budget is what captures the attention of international economic analysts, particularly the underlying modeling methodology that must support such massive allocations. When a sovereign nation commits to this level of extensive, forward-looking spending, the financial projections are invariably rooted in specific and deliberate assumptions about the future purchasing power and intrinsic value of the local currency. Expert economic historians and regional finance analysts have pointed out that the monumental volume of planned reinvestment into productive sectors, such as oil diversification, gas capture projects, and the modernization of its agriculture, strongly implies the budget was calculated based on expectation of a substantially stronger national currency in the near future. This unmistakable transition from a posture of crisis management and resource conservation to one of proactive, aggressive expansionism signals a powerful internal confidence. The Iraqi government clearly believes that its vast intrinsic assets and its current fiscal capacity are robust and resilient enough to sustain a state of stronger liquidity and higher valuation. The budget itself acts as a clear public statement of confidence, projecting that the dinar can and must command a much more competitive valuation on the international stage to efficiently finance the substantial importation of the high technology, services, and industrial equipment required for this immense national reconstruction and development effort. One of the most persistent and widely circulated reports in recent weeks involves the alleged, yet highly technical, involvement of the United States Treasury Department in the final stages of rate confirmation. It is paramount that this topic be approached with rigorous adherence to verified facts and a nuanced understanding of institutional roles. To date, no official, public press release or formal statement has been issued by the U.S. Treasury confirming any specific, final revaluation rate for the Iraqi dinar. Public declarations of this nature are highly sensitive and extremely rare prior to the actual implementation. However, a number of credible economic researchers maintain that the intense ongoing technical coordination meetings between high-level Iraqi financial officials and their U.S. counterparts have culminated in the generation of what is termed an exchange protocol rate. This internal figure is not intended to be the final public exchange value, but rather an essential internal test rate. Its purpose is to meticulously calibrate the vast digital banking systems, simulate cross-border clearing channels under new protocols, and conduct rigorous budgetary simulations to model the economic impact. It serves as a vital internal benchmark for testing exactly how the entire global financial architecture would technically respond to a definitive change in the dinar's sovereign valuation. Understanding the complex role of the U.S. Treasury requires making a clear distinction between a nation dictating another country's monetary policy and its critical function in ensuring global compliance and system interoperability. The Treasury does not possess the authority to unilaterally set the value of a sovereign nation's currency. However, it wields enormous influence over how global clearing and dollar settlement systems interpret, validate, and process a rate change. The United States maintains strict oversight regarding the flow of U.S. dollars and the prevention of illicit financial activity, meaning Iraq's monetary systems must be fully integrated and approved by U.S. authorized transaction platforms. Consequently, if Iraq has successfully finalized its comprehensive internal fiscal audits, reconciliations, and technological upgrades, it is highly plausible that the Treasury's international settlement systems now indeed hold a specific operational input value. This value would be prepositioned for synchronization across all relevant global financial networks. The key takeaway is this. While a final public rate remains officially unconfirmed by both parties, the operational existence of a specific test value within the technical framework is a powerful indicator. It suggests that the underlying monetary architecture is structurally aligned, finalized, and merely awaiting the precise political and economic conditions for full-scale activation. Another topic that has captured significant attention in online communities is the pervasive rumor of an 80-hour exchange window. This phrase has circulated widely in forums and chat rooms, often leading to public confusion about its real meaning. It is essential to clarify that this term does not likely refer to a brief, limited-time opportunity for the public to exchange their currency. Instead, industry observers who specialize in financial infrastructure suggest that this technical terminology refers to a systemic, controlled test cycle that is conducted between select, top-tier global banks and the providers of digital asset infrastructure. These 80-hour windows are essentially rigorous stress tests meticulously designed to evaluate three key parameters: deep liquidity, perfect system synchronization, and the accurate timing of settlement within the international banking and payments frameworks. The test's duration is specifically technical, ensuring that when a payment is initiated under new, complex protocols, it settles correctly, without errors or delays, across multiple international time zones and diverse banking ledgers. The duration of 18 hours is actually derived from standard operational testing bursts associated with the ISO 20022 cross-border payment system, the new global messaging standard. In the highly specialized world of international high finance, a complete end-to-end liquidity cycle, from the precise moment a transaction is initiated to the final, confirmed settlement notification, is known to often require a duration of between 12 and 18 hours to fully and securely propagate through the entire global network during a testing phase. By proactively running these intensive, controlled simulations, the Central Bank of Iraq and its international clearinghouse partners can effectively evaluate the real-time performance of currency data, transaction verification protocols, and asset conversion mechanisms under maximum pressure. Therefore, hearing about this specific window should be interpreted as a powerful sign of back-end infrastructural readiness and rigorous testing rather than a misleading countdown clock for individual investors. Despite the excitement generated by these intensive technical tests, it is absolutely essential to remain grounded in the current, verifiable reality of the retail banking sector. As of this public update, major global banking institutions in the United States and elsewhere, such as J.P. Morgan Chase, Citibank, and Wells Fargo, have not issued any official, formal public statements confirming their participation in a public dinar exchange or revaluation program. The significant uptick in interbank communications and the confirmed reports of internal test activities are powerful indicators of definite progress, but they do not in any way equate to a public, definitive green light for retail transactions. Credible financial analysts and market observers urge the public to exercise caution, warning against the incorrect interpretation of private, internal bank testing as an immediate or imminent public offering. The complex financial infrastructure required for high-volume liquidity operations is indeed advancing quietly behind the scenes, a prerequisite for any major change. However, until there is a formal, public authorization and a clear announcement from the Central Bank of Iraq, the current retail exchange environment and its associated risks remain demonstrably unchanged. The immediate focus remains squarely on the necessary institutional preparation that must, by technical and legal necessity, precede any public access. Looking at the much broader economic picture, the administration led by Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani continues to execute a clear, strategic intent to completely transform Iraq into a modern, diversified, and regionally competitive economy. Over the past year, the Iraqi government has successfully negotiated and executed a series of critical bilateral agreements with key global and regional trading partners, including China, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. A fundamental aspect of these new partnerships is a deliberate move toward innovative partial settlement models that increasingly bypass the historical sole reliance on the U.S. dollar, allowing for trade transactions to be conducted in local currencies or via emerging hybrid digital payment mechanisms. This comprehensive diversification of trade settlement methods represents a major, proactive step toward significantly strengthening the dinar's functional relevance and demand within regional trade networks. By strategically reducing the need to rely solely on the dollar for every bilateral transaction, Iraq is effectively manufacturing a natural, organic demand for its own national currency. This increase in functional utility and demand is a fundamental, non-negotiable requirement for the long-term, sustainable appreciation of the currency's value. This structural change is a testament to Iraq's commitment to building a financial system resilient to external pressures. Furthermore, the verifiable tangible assets that stand as a financial backing to the Iraqi dinar continue to profoundly reinforce the nation's financial credibility on the global stage. Recent, confirmed reports indicate that Iraq's formidable oil production capacity has now climbed to an approximate total of $4.8 million barrels per day. This is a robust figure, bolstered significantly by new exploration projects and strategic joint ventures in vital energy regions like Basra. Perhaps even more compelling as a sign of financial fortitude is the country's aggressive accumulation of gold reserves, which have now officially surpassed an impressive 145 metric tons. This substantial gold holding strategically positions Iraq among the top gold reserve holders in the entire Middle East, sending an undeniable signal to the world's markets. It underscores the critical, verifiable fact that the nation's currency is supported by real, tangible, and highly valued wealth. When a nation possesses this level of rich natural resources and this quantity of gold reserves, it provides the solid economic underpinnings necessary to foster deep, long-term confidence in the currency's stability and intrinsic value. These physical assets serve as a massive, reliable buffer against unexpected market volatility and constitute a foundational platform upon which a revalued currency can stand securely in the competitive global marketplace. Parallel to the expansion and leveraging of its natural resources is the Iraqi government's explicit commitment to a complete digital transformation of the national economy. The widespread implementation of smart logistics systems, advanced financial technology, fintech integration, and robust e-governance systems highlights a deliberate national pivot towards sustainable, modern economic practices. This modernization is not simply about achieving minor administrative convenience. It is fundamentally about creating a transparent, auditable trail for all transactions and significantly reducing the systemic corruption that has historically plagued the Iraqi economy for decades. By successfully digitizing key ports of entry and modernizing the national tax collection systems, Iraq is actively ensuring that a greater portion of the government's rightful revenue actually reaches the Treasury rather than being diverted. This dramatically increased fiscal discipline and operational transparency is an absolute prerequisite for supporting and sustaining a stronger currency. It provides tangible proof to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank that Iraq has installed the necessary technological and legal mechanisms to manage a higher value monetary unit responsibly, efficiently, and with full transparency, which is vital for securing international confidence. At the very epicenter of this vast modernization effort stands the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, the principal and ultimate authority responsible for the nation's entire monetary policy and financial direction. The CBI recent communications have placed an intense, accelerated focus on maximizing transparency and achieving complete integration with global financial systems. One of its most ambitious and technologically challenging initiatives is the Digital IQD project, which aims to seamlessly link all of Iraq's domestic banking accounts with international SWIFT messaging and IBAN standards, all operating under the new global ISO 20022 protocol. This massive technological leap is specifically designed to create seamless, instantaneous interoperability between Iraq's internal financial infrastructure and the world's most sophisticated global clearing networks. Such advanced integration enables substantially faster, more secure, and fully auditable cross-border transactions, a capability that is absolutely essential for a country actively seeking to welcome substantial foreign direct investment and facilitate high-volume international trade. Financial analysts argue convincingly that these large-scale infrastructure upgrades represent the single strongest, most tangible evidence of the CBI's serious intent regarding a currency revaluation and appreciation. The consensus argument is compelling. A nation does not invest billions of dollars into building and deploying advanced banking technology, sophisticated anti-fraud software, and state-of-the-art blockchain-based transaction monitoring systems unless it has a firm anticipation of a currency that will be highly active, valuable, and tradable on the global stage. A weak, inflated, or non-tradable currency simply does not require such costly and complex, sophisticated financial rails. In contrast, a globally traded, strong, and highly sought after currency absolutely requires this level of secure, advanced infrastructure to maintain its integrity and handle high transaction volumes efficiently. The CBI active alignment with IMF data transparency initiatives further indicates that Iraq's monetary authorities are actively and deliberately building toward a goal of achieving full international credibility and trust. As this technological and procedural modernization deepens and becomes more fully implemented, the CBI demonstrated technological readiness becomes a reliable, objective signal. It confirms that the currency's structural evolution is successfully transitioning from an abstract conceptual preparation to a practical, technical implementation within the complex, rule-bound global financial architecture, a critical sign of maturity. To provide a fully balanced and comprehensive view of what the future may hold, it is informative to consider the professional perspectives of international economists regarding the dinar's future trajectory. Several highly respected experts suggest that while the public excitement for an instantaneous, overnight windfall is understandable, the underlying economic reality may strongly point toward a more cautious, gradual appreciation over a sustained period. Laler Roman, a senior researcher specializing in emerging markets, emphasizes that long-term fiscal discipline will likely be the primary initial driver of value, which will then be reliably followed by oil-backed leverage as exports stabilize and production increases. This informed perspective proposes that the currency's revaluation may not manifest as a single dramatic event, but rather as a measured process where the dinar's value systematically strengthens in calculated steps as the nation's economy continues to prove its resilience and stability. This controlled stair-step approach would allow the global market to adjust gradually without the systemic shock of a sudden change, which could potentially trigger rapid capital flight or destabilize the local economy. It represents a more responsible risk mitigation strategy typical of sovereign nations returning to global prominence. Other experts, such as Robert Kinn, a former economic advisor specializing in post-sanction economies, have proposed that Iraq's next logical monetary step could be the managed adoption of a controlled float mechanism. This strategic method would permit the dinar's value to adjust incrementally and organically within a specific managed corridor, allowing it to potentially fluctuate against the U.S. dollar, primarily based on the verifiable forces of market, supply, and demand. This methodology offers maximum flexibility and allows the Central Bank of Iraq to strategically intervene if the currency's value begins to exhibit excessive or undesirable volatility, maintaining a predictable path. Meanwhile, strategists like Samar Nagy frame the entire economic narrative within the essential context of national reconstruction and geopolitical transformation, viewing Iraq as fundamentally transitioning from a basic post-conflict recovery model into a stable, credit-backed, and potentially investment-grade economy. Despite the natural variations in forecasts concerning the exact mechanism or speed, the consensus among these leading experts is unified on one critical principle. Iraq's currency is demonstrably on a clear, established trajectory toward a verifiable increase in intrinsic and market strength, a fact supported by the documented institutional and infrastructural upgrades. For the community of individuals interested in this story, discernment and critical analysis have become the most valuable tools for navigating the volatile information landscape. With social media and internet forums amplifying every rumor into a potential headline, it is more vital than ever to reliably distinguish credible, documented data from crowd-driven, emotionally charged hype. Reliable, factual information must begin with verifiable primary sources, such as official, notarized statements from the Central Bank of Iraq, documented bulletins from the IMF, and transparent regulatory reports published by established global financial news outlets and data providers. Ongoing international dialogue surrounding the dinar's valuation extends far beyond a simple numeric rate change. It fundamentally represents the unfolding of Iraq's comprehensive transformation into a stable, powerful, and respected economic force. Observers who consistently prioritize thorough education, factual verification, and patient observation will always be in a significantly better and more informed position than those who are quick to chase unverified rumors based purely on speculation or emotion. This is a story of national resilience and strategic planning, not a quick, dramatic financial game. One of the most profound and transformative aspects of Iraq's recent financial history is the rapid and comprehensive digital banking revolution that has fundamentally redefined how the nation handles its internal finances. Since the beginning of 2025, the Central Bank of Iraq has systematically implemented mandatory electronic salary payments for all government employees, a decisive action that effectively eliminates the outdated, inefficient, and highly vulnerable cash-based disbursement models. This monumental shift is transformative because the cash-based systems were historically susceptible to massive fraud, including payments to ghost employees, and widespread corruption. By mandating that all payments be routed through secure, verifiable digital channels, the government gains the unprecedented ability to accurately track the movement of every single dinar, ensuring that essential liquidity remains within the formal, regulated banking system rather than being hoarded in private safes or illegally smuggled out of the country. This systemic accumulation of liquidity within the commercial banks significantly strengthens their balance sheets and provides the critical capital necessary for domestic lending and sustainable economic growth. Furthermore, the massive expansion of the national smart card network has connected millions of Iraqi citizens to electronic banking for the very first time. This powerful move toward complete financial inclusion is a critical metric closely watched by international rating agencies. When a large segment of a population successfully transitions from being unbanked to officially banked, the velocity of money within the economy dramatically increases, and the central bank gains much more effective control over monetary policy levers. The seamless integration with global payment providers like MasterCard and Visa further sends an unambiguous signal to the global community that Iraq is fully open for compliant international business. These developments are not superficial. They are the fundamental, structural building blocks of a transparent, modern, and high-functioning global economy. Ultimately, the key to accurately understanding the current status and trajectory of the Iraqi dinar lies in methodically following verifiable, documented data, not the volatile and often emotional drama. The official rate tables published directly by the Central Bank of Iraq remain the single most credible, authoritative source for confirming any eventual valuation change. Likewise, diligently monitoring the official Iraqi Gazette is equally important, as this is the legal forum where all new laws, including the budget and banking regulations, become official and legally binding. Often, the most important clues to a currency shift are technically buried in the legal text of a budget amendment or a new banking regulation long before they ever appear on a public foreign exchange screen. As we bring this comprehensive update to a close, the overarching message remains one of informed, strategic patience and perspective. The core of Iraq's economic engine is robustly turning, and the documented, verifiable signs of profound progress are undeniable and structural. The successful, comprehensive implementation of the massive national budget, the high-level protocol meetings with international Treasury officials, and the robust, systematic testing of advanced digital payment windows are not random, isolated occurrences. They are the clear, interconnected indicators of a structured, deliberate, and well-executed national plan. These powerful steps consistently point toward an economy that is systematically preparing for full-scale integration into the global financial system with a renewed and formidable strength. As observers of this historic transformation, our role is to interpret this growing body of evidence responsibly and without emotional exaggeration. We must consistently remember that major national and financial transformations, which involve restructuring an entire economy, do not materialize instantaneously. However, the current momentum, which synthesizes fiscal discipline, resource expansion, and digital modernization, forms a highly credible foundation for the financial evolution that has been years in the making. Thank you for staying connected with the Iraqi Dinar Today latest news dinar for this deep dive analysis.